Hey, this is Mr. Beat here, and uh, it's election day again tomorrow. I hope you enjoyed the meme from Groundhog Day because it's true. Like it seems like I've been saying it's election day a lot lately, and I have been because there's been a lot of primary elections, which to me is it's really important, really exciting. We have some great candidates running for Congress around the United States of America. Many I have endorsed. That's why I've been doing these live streams to try to hype up some candidates who have added uncapping the House to their platforms, but also have uh, other great ideas to reform our government. And, quite frankly, most of them, almost all of them, have a very ending corruption platform. But yeah, like, so far I have three who have joined me, but I will hopefully be joined by even more running for Congress across the country. I just wanted to say, if you live in one of these following, and there they are on the screen, before we introduce them all, say hello, everybody.
Hi.
Before I have them introduce themselves, freaking pop-up ads, stop it. Okay. Yeah, these are the states tomorrow, August 4th, that have primaries, although many of you have already voted early, and that's even better. I voted early because I'm in New York City right now, and I had to. But yeah, Kansas has primaries tomorrow. Michigan, which is getting a lot of national attention right now, but not for uncapping the House, unfortunately. Missouri, Virginia, and Washington. And then on Thursday, we have Tennessee, and on Saturday, we have Hawaii, which I don't have any candidates from Hawaii, but anyway, a lot going on. And it's, yeah, primaries continue into September. So please, your primary vote has much more of an effect than a general election vote. You have less competition for voices, and so your voice, therefore, is much louder. So this is when democracy shines the brightest. This is when your voice is the loudest. I think it would be foolish to not vote in your primary. And if you have a closed primary in your state, that means you need to figure out what political party you're registered with. Figure that out quickly. You can usually do it at the polling place, and then vote who you think is going to be the best person to represent one of the two major political parties, the Democratic Party and the Republican Party. And I've got with me, we got somebody else here hopping on too. It's Chaney. Yes, thank you for being here. All right, so this is a full house. Yeah, so I'll just go around clockwise and have you all introduce yourselves, starting with Adam. Just tell the audience your name, your district, a little bit about your district, and what your campaign is focused on. And yeah, go ahead, Adam.
All right. Hey, everybody. Really happy to be here. My name is Adam Murphy, Democratic candidate for Virginia's 9th District. Our district has, it's been called coal country. It had tobacco farms, had dairy. It has quite a diverse amount of things in it too, as Virginia Tech. But we're fighting for making sure that what we had in the 20th century, I can't necessarily revive some of these industries due to the way economics have gone. But what we can do is bring in the 21st century and connect us to that while also protecting us as we go forward. Southwest Virginia is one of the most beautiful places in the world. And we're, one of the biggest things we're dealing with, and I'm sure we'll get into it later, is data centers. And they're coming all across Southwest. And it's kind of just a big fight that everybody doesn't really want them here. And we're kind of trying to organize around that and just a few other things. So I'm just really happy to be here, get a chance to spend with you tonight before we kind of get some really shut eye and then head off tomorrow for the election day. So.
Fantastic. Thank you, Adam. And next we're going to go with, kind of a favorite son or a favorite daughter, I guess, of mine, because she's running for the U.S. Senate in my home state of Kansas, and we've got to meet up in person multiple times now. So, Ann, why don't you introduce yourself?
Yeah, so Ann Parelkar, like you said, I'm running for the United States Senate for the state of Kansas. I am an attorney. I've practiced immigration law for a number of years, and I'm married to actually a naturalized citizen from Mumbai, India. And so that was kind of part of what started me in this process. But what really pushed me to decide that I was going to run for office is I went to Roger Marshall, who's the person that I will be replacing. I went to his town hall, and he had no respect or consideration for the people of Kansas that day. And I just took it as a real slap in the face to everybody. They're meant to serve us, and they no longer do. And so I started trying to figure out what I could do. And one thing that I could do was run for office. And so that's how I ended up here. But my biggest issues are, I want to see campaign finance reform. I want institutional reform. I want to really work to give this government back to the people and make it what we were taught it was supposed to be growing up. As far as what Kansas is always called flyover country, but if you come to Kansas, you will fall in love with it. I was not born in Kansas. I was born in Pine Bluff, Arkansas, and I've been in Kansas since 2011. And I cannot imagine being anywhere else anymore. We have the most beautiful sunsets. We feed the country, and the people here are really just salt of the earth, Americana as you can get. And we've led the country in so many different ways over the years, from Bleeding Kansas to the Vote No Amendment in 2022. Kansas knows how to be on the right side of history, and I really have faith in us that we're going to be able to work together to lead this country into the next 250 years and make it amazing for us all. So
wonderful. I had to add, there we go. Chaney's back. Okay. Thank you so much, Ann. Yeah, I'm very happy to endorse you. And it is Chaney, right?
That's right, Chaney.
Okay. Yeah. I just got paranoid all of a sudden. Like, how many times have I said your name out loud? Okay. Chaney, why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself to our audience?
Sure thing. Well, I apologize for y'all losing me, but if anybody has kids, you know that kids make your life completely unpredictable, and so we'll just leave it at that. I'm Chaney Mosley, and I'm from Tennessee, running for the U.S. House of Representatives in Congressional District 6, and I'm really happy to be here tonight. Thanks for inviting us. Our campaign is focused on 4 priorities. It's making life more affordable, strengthening public education and work opportunities, investing in agriculture and rural communities, and protecting democracy and the freedoms that we have, right? Excited to share a little bit more about that as we go on tonight. But I'm a 4th generation Tennessean, a public school teacher, a 15-year Army veteran, and a father of 3 boys who are incredible, but they're a little wild right now. And I'm ready for change in Washington, D.C.
Thank you so much, Chaney. And finally, last but not least, Mike from 6th District of Tennessee.
Yeah, that's right. I'm Mike Croley. I'm running for the same office that Chaney's running for. So I think it speaks really well for Tennessee that we have 2 candidates here. And I appreciate all the work that you do, Matt. I'm a Navy veteran. I'm a former Tennessee State Park Ranger. And most recently, I was a federal employee. And I worked for NOAA, the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration. And anyhow, I got caught up in the DOGE firings. And when I reached out to my representative, I didn't get any feedback, no return phone call, no return email. So uncapping the House is directly tied to that. And my campaign is focused on affordability, accountability, and accessibility. And again, uncapping the House fits nicely with 2 of those. So, 435 is an arbitrary number. And I'm sure we'll get into this, but uncapping the House, there's so many benefits for the average everyday person. So I am in favor. When I heard that you were in favor, Matt, I reached out. So happy to be here, y'all.
So apparently Tennessee is really based. I've endorsed multiple candidates in multiple districts, actually. And it seems I noticed a pattern. Maybe it's a cultural thing. I don't know what it is, but also same thing with Kansas. I have the same situation. But speaking of Kansas, someone else has joined us. Colin McRoberts, the legend himself. Colin is running in my home district here, the big 1st district of Kansas, and was the very first person I talked to about, hey, have you considered adding Uncapping the House to your platform? But I have to say this. He approached me first. He found out about me, I think, on Reddit or something. And yeah, we met up and talked about it. And, a very pragmatic candidate, listens to new ideas and works with all kinds of folks. So really excited to support you, Colin, if you want to introduce yourself to my audience.
Thanks. Yeah, it was actually somebody from the party who pulled me aside and said, hey, you've got to talk to this Mr. Beat guy. And I'm a little bit older, and so, I know a lot about streaming, obviously. And I talked to them back and said, no, it's Mr. Beast. Even I know that. And they had to explain, no, it's Mr. Beat, different guy, local to Kansas, very important, go talk to him. And that's when I started looking you up and saw you on Reddit the same day talking about uncapping the House and realized, oh, that's who that is. So I'm Colin McRoberts. I'm running for Congress in the 1st District in Kansas. That's basically Lawrence, where the University of Kansas is, all the way out to Oklahoma, up to Nebraska, down to Oklahoma. That's right, out to Colorado, up to Nebraska, down to Oklahoma. Huge district, one of the biggest in the country. And we are maybe going to flip it this year. We're doing a fantastic job of really advancing most of our strategic goals of sort of moving the Democratic Party forwards to make it a more competitive district, which has traditionally been pretty red. And we're making it a district they actually have to compete for, which is going to be a fantastic change for Kansas. And uncapping the House is a big part of that. We're going out and talking to people about the kinds of reforms they haven't always talked about in the past, and the things that would make a particularly big difference in giant districts like this. With 60 counties, it just has to be a huge area to capture 750,000 people. And so the chance to shrink it down to make it more local would let race be focused more on the individual economies of some of the sub-regions of the state, instead of this massive district that sweeps across, the row crop area, the meatpacking area, the kind of more urban areas. It wasn't supposed to be like this, and we can do something about it this year.
Thank you so much, Colin. And we're going to hear more from all these candidates. But first, I just want to share, not everybody was able to make the live stream tonight. I still have a couple others that might be hopping on. So we won't be going too long, but I do want to share the rest of them who are in races tomorrow or later this week. So we've got, if you go to my website, IamMrBeat.com, you click on the link at the top, it says, you go to engage and 2026 midterm endorsements, and you can see all the list. It's fairly updated, although some of these candidates are no longer running. They've either dropped out and endorsed somebody else, or they lost their primary. Some of them won their primary. Some of them didn't have primary opponents. But regardless, these are mostly Democrats, but a few independents and a Republican on here. So I'm proud to have a pretty diverse list. Specifically for tomorrow, a lot of Florida folks. So Florida is also based. But yeah, for tomorrow, in addition to Ann, I got Kevin, who might be joining us, both running for the Senate in the primaries. Colin, you just heard from Sarah, might be joining us as well. I got to interview her a couple weeks ago. Did an event with her as well. She's running in the 3rd District of Kansas. Cole, unfortunately, did drop out as well. It's not easy to run for Congress. These fine folks all know this. But then looking over here in Michigan, I do have Wayne running. I think that he's unopposed, though, up there in Michigan's 1st District. Missouri, I got Josh Smead. I did an event with him, got to interview him. I don't know if he's joining us tonight. He never responded, but Clayton Harbison over in Missouri in the 8th District. We've got, let's see, going down all the way to Tennessee. We have Mike and Chaney here, kind of representing the state. And, Salaam Bhatti out of Virginia's 1st District. And, of course, Adam, who's here tonight, representing trying to represent Virginia's 9th District. I think I got them all. So let's hear more from these folks that are here in person live. And by the way, if you're just wondering where the heck am I, I'm in a hotel room, and Mrs. Beat is here, and she's like, I don't want to be on camera right now. Don't want to. Sorry, I did that. Okay, so we'll go in reverse order now, but again, try to keep your answers fairly brief due to time constraints. But Colin, what do you think, in addition to uncapping the House, is the single most important issue that folks in your district care about and that you're running on?
Well, I heard somebody mention as I was logging on, they're running on affordability, accountability, and access, which is very similar to my platform of affordability, accountability, and progress. And so affordability is the thing that everyone talks about all the time because it is so front of mind every time you just go to the grocery store. And ending the tariff is the biggest single issue there, particularly in an ag district like this one, because it wrecked our export markets, hit that farm income that drives the rest of the district. and then killed the imports that make the inputs that make those farms work as well. Plus, machine parts, data, everything else we're buying on a regular basis. So ending the tariffs, I think, is the number one single economic priority for most people I talk to.
Yep, that checks out with me as well. But hey, maybe we'll get different answers here. So let's go to, well, it seems like we're in a weird order. Let's just go back to Chaney. Chaney, what would you say is the number one issue that you're running on that your fellow citizens care about in your district?
Sure. Thanks. Excuse me. Thanks for the question. Most of our district is rural, and Colin, it sounds like what you said, how you described your district as well. But I would characterize it as a desire to set aside greed and put the interest of the working class forward. We've not seen a lot of that in our own state. Many of our elected officials are making decisions in ways that control the lives of people instead of enhancing the lives of people. And I'm excited to be part of a campaign that is freedom focused and creating opportunity for everyone, not just the rich or the super wealthy.
Thank you, Chaney. We'll go over to your colleague, hopefully someday, Mike.
Yeah, thanks. And Colin, that was me. I'm running on affordability, accountability, and accessibility, and affordability being number one. And that's not something that we're going to be able to solve overnight, obviously. But there are steps that we can go ahead and take, measures to lower prescription drug prices, to raise the federal minimum wage. It's $7.25. I think when I was in high school, it was not much more, not much less than that. So we need to pay a living wage, and part of that is I realize small businesses are the backbone of this country, and I don't want to break the backbone of this country. So what I would propose is subsidizing small businesses, especially with paying their employees a livable wage. And for me, a livable wage is at least $20 an hour. So every day when I talk to people, affordability is at the forefront of their mind.
Absolutely. Yeah. It's okay if you're repeating yourselves here, because I think that kind of just shows you're pretty in touch. But there are other issues we haven't touched on. So we'll see if we get to those. Anne, you are up next. What's the most important issue you think? If you just picked one issue?
For the people, I have to agree that it's affordability. And I think that that's something that we can fix by one of the things that I'm really pushing for is enforcing our antitrust laws. I think we need to really rebalance the wealth and power structure in this country. Otherwise, it's not sustainable. People can't survive. And that's going to touch on everything from healthcare to groceries to housing, everything. So I do think that that's the number one issue. Nobody can think about anything else when they're trying so hard just to make ends meet.
Yeah. I think actually, though, you all kind of have different solutions to the affordability crisis. So I think we'll just get into that as a follow-up to these questions here next. But Adam, why don't you wrap it up with what do you think is the biggest issue?
So affordability is definitely a big concern. So in our rural areas, what they're kind of were saying about inputs and outputs with the farmers is definitely a very big concern in our area. But we have a lot of other concerns too. I would say a lot of bipartisan concern is coming out of these AI and data centers, like I was saying earlier. And affordability kind of affects in different ways. It could be the price of goods that you're buying for your business. It could be buying a house. It could be healthcare. And then finally, a big thing in our district is, once upon a time with the coal and stuff, we were really booming economically. And that wasn't that long ago. But now we don't have like the job opportunities or economic and things like the living wage or something I very much agree with too. We need to be able to pay people well and rebuild the whole economic ladder for folks. Like we have the starting point, a Walmart, Taco Bell type starting job. We have some really skilled positions, but there's a big gap in the middle that we used to have for people to be able to live the life they want to live. And that's, I think, so critical in this moment today, making sure people can actually live that life they want to live and not have to move somewhere else for it, especially here in Southwest.
Absolutely. Okay. So just think about this for a second now. How are we going to solve the affordability crisis? I mean, I have certain ideas. I'm not running for public office though. So if you do get elected, what's going to be the first priority for legislation to fix the affordability crisis? Raise your hand if you'd like to go first. Oh, okay. Look at that. Look at that. Okay, Colin, go ahead.
Well, I'll take the easy one, end the tariffs. Take the tariff power out of the White House, not just for Donald Trump, but for every president going forwards. Make it a congressional power again, the way the Constitution requires, and we'll stabilize those markets. What I hear from a lot of businesses, because I'm a business professor, it's what I do, it's not just that the tariffs are so high, it's they're incredibly chaotic and erratic. They go up and down based on whether the prime minister of whatever country was rude to Donald Trump on the phone or not in his imagination. And as a business, you can't plan for that. As a farm, you can't plan for that. It makes it impossible to do stable business. So Congress, whatever its faults, whatever its benefits, does things slowly. Put the tariff power back in the hands of Congress, you get a much more stable rise and fall of tariffs, easier to do business, easier to maintain good business. That's going to do a lot to restore affordability, and it's going to stabilize the economy.
I love it. Yeah. My viewers know very well how I feel about tariffs. Mike's got his hand up just like a good student. Go ahead, Mike.
Yeah. Thanks. Once again, I agree with Colin. I think that this is a multi-pronged question, obviously. But one of the first things I want to do for my constituents is introduce legislation to ban corporations from buying single-family homes. And when we talk about affordability, it's a really wide umbrella, and that's definitely a part of it. So especially in Nashville, as Chaney well knows, there's homes just going up everywhere, and these corporations are building them and buying them up and then charging whatever they want to charge. So I think that will be the first piece of legislation that I'll put forward. And, to your point, Matt, about uncapping the House, that makes running for Congress very expensive. The fact that we have to travel, Chaney and I, we had our district gerrymandered in the middle of the election, but it went from 19 counties to 16 counties. That's so much distance that we have to travel. And it's extremely expensive. So on the congressional side, I would really like to uncap the House so we can get more manageable districts.
Teacher's pet Mike Croley, everyone. Extra credit to you. No. Yes. I love it. Okay. Let's just go to Adam. What's your, again, just a reminder, we need to be as specific as possible. What would be the first legislation you pass to tackle the affordability crisis?
I think tariffs would be the easiest one. I just as like a technical, I want to be correct. That is probably the best one, but I want to tackle the problem a little bit differently. That I think something that in this country that is probably the biggest pain point for a lot of folks is healthcare. It's incredibly expensive to have insurance. A lot of people go without it. Even if you have insurance, you're still paying thousands of dollars a year just to have the healthcare. And even then, you still have to fight with an insurance company to get the care that your doctor says you need. I would really want us to get a universal single-payer healthcare system, like a Medicare for all. That's something I think needs to be existentially done. Medical debt is still the number one reason people have bankruptcies in this country. And, as a personal aside, my family lost our family farm, a century farm, because we had to do and pay for medical debt because my grandfather suffered a heart attack and they deemed it a pre-existing condition. That's not okay. And we're supposed to be the richest country in the history of the world. And we make people basically beg for scraps to get healthcare. That's not how it's supposed to be. We can have the best. We can have as good as healthcare as our representatives do. That's what it should be. And that's what I'd like to fight for, because I think if we could get the healthcare costs down, where the biggest thing you're worrying about is just, how much it costs to park, I think that would, the mental burden of relief for so many families would be immense.
How about that? Yeah, just writing a bill. I don't know if this exists or if this has ever existed, but just a bill that says American citizens, every single one, gets the same healthcare coverage as their members of Congress. That's very populist. All right. Let's see. Chaney, what do you think?
Yeah, great question. We've talked about ways to lower the cost of things, but I think Mike was the one who mentioned this initially. By the way, Mike and I often repeat each other because we have similar platforms. But let's talk about how to put more money in the pockets of folks other than by decreasing the cost of things, and that's increasing the minimum wage. So piece of legislation there, and make it work through the Fair Labor Act such that as inflation increases, so does the minimum wage, right? I think that's a good approach to keep us on balance. It's almost been 20 years since we've had an increase in minimum wage, and that's bonkers.
Yeah, I mean, even in Missouri next door, they voted to increase it up to, I think it's up to $16 an hour now. Here in Kansas, it's still $7.25 an hour. It's embarrassing. Anyway, I can't forget Anne. Anne, what's the best way to tackle the affordability crisis, in your opinion?
Well, I love what everybody else had to say, and I have actually so many ideas for how we have to do this, but I would encourage everybody to look at the People's Deal on our website, and it'll tell you what I want to do. But I want to take it a little bit differently here, because I think that the number one issue that we have to address before anything else will work out is the corruption and the big money in our government. And that's the number one issue that I want to see addressed, because once we have public servants back in office that care about us, that want to work for the people, and that answer to us instead of big corporations or their super PACs or their billionaire donors or their party or whatever else, whoever else they answer to over the people that they're sent to represent, then we'll actually get some changes that will work for us all. So that's what I'll say.
Yeah, ending corporate welfare, that's another really important issue to me personally. Made a video about that, of course. Anyway, but I do want to give you a chance to talk about other things other than kind of something that's different than your platform. I want to hear about how it's going talking to voters, to knocking on doors, talking to people at campaign events. Like, what are they saying other than affordability? And just generally, what are the vibes? I know I've asked a lot of candidates this because I'm trying to actually kind of see also, like, regionally what's more important in certain parts of the country. So we'll just let's see. Anne, can I go back to you right away? Is that okay?
Yeah. So with talking with voters, it's always back to, trying to make ends meet. But with a lot of them too, it's our democracy and our country. And they're really fed up. Like, I don't think Congress, I don't think our politicians, maybe they're starting to figure it out, but I don't think that they really realize how upset the general public is that we're not being listened to. They don't care what we have to say. And I'll just mention with the AI data centers, that's a huge one here as well. And we're seeing communities come together to push back, and they're being told, well, we can't do anything about it. We're going to allow this to come through. And that's just not going to work anymore. So I guess what I would say is that just the accountability and public officials listening to them and serving them over, corporate interests or whatever else it is that it's coming back to. But the people really, and the flock cameras, and there's like, people really do not like what's happening right now. And if our Congress people don't make some changes, they're all gonna get fired.
I love that. Yeah, the pitchforks are out. I have a future video explaining why the pitchforks are out. Mostly it's economic reasons, but you touched on other things, like the fact that we have this surveillance apparatus, that we have this corporate federal government alliance in which the people have no voice. I think that's really palpable. I think that it's bipartisan. Just as many Republicans upset about this crap as Democrats, plenty of independents. Yeah. Let's go back over to Adam. Where are the vibes when you talk to voters?
I would say that constitutional rights are a big one here. So Second Amendment comes up. Things like the flock cameras and privacy. I would say that's probably, if it's not talking about jobs or the AI data center specifically or healthcare, it's probably some form of constitutional right concern where they feel like the system isn't really representing them. And kind of as I've been canvassing, something I've noticed, I don't know how everybody else's race is going, but our area is pretty rural. We have areas where you don't have cell service and internet pretty regularly, actually. And you know, a lot of people don't know that there's even a primary going on, right? So when you go canvassing and you talk to people, they're like, oh, hey, I didn't know that there was a primary. And that's often a really good chance to get someone to get excited. But I have been noticing, we kind of had a semi-viral flock camera video the other day that had like 100,000 views on us, which was, hey, we got like 1,000 followers from it. That's good stuff for us, all right? We take that.
Nice.
And I've gotten a lot of people reaching out, asking like, hey, I'm a former Republican. I'm a conservative. How do you feel about flock? How do you feel about data centers? And I'm telling them exactly what I'm saying here. We got to regulate them. We got to put a moratorium in until we get those regulations in. We got to stop flock surveillance and these in general surveillance type systems. And people are like, I'm kind of surprised that you're saying this. I thought you'd say something else. And I think this is a moment where we can catch so many people. We just have to show them that we don't want to be the Democratic Party as it's been either. We're trying to transform this into something new. Things like uncapping the House is not something the Democratic Party 10 years ago would have even talked about, right? And you could probably get, with this wave coming in, most of us talking about it. I think there's a shift happening, mental shift, where people have had enough. They want something different, and we're trying to provide it for them.
And we have a two-party system, so you have to work within that. So, I mean, it's just about reforming the parties. I have plenty of complaints about the Democratic Party. I'm sure you all do as well. They've really kind of dropped the ball the last couple of decades. And yeah, they're starting to talk about uncapping the House. I heard freaking Pete Buttigieg talking about uncapping the House. I got so excited. Yeah. Let's go back to Colin. Where are the vibes in, especially when you go to Western Kansas?
Very different than they are in Lawrence, I'll tell you that much, and a lot fewer Democrats. And so the conversation's a lot more about sort of non-party stuff for the first off the first stroke. And a lot of the conversation right now in Kansas is about this amendment to the Kansas Constitution about how the Kansas Supreme Court is selected. And I'm not going to get into the details on a stream that covers a lot more states, but this is going to be coming all around the country if it succeeds in Kansas. Some conservative interests are trying to change the way the Kansas Supreme Court is selected to make it a partisan election system, meaning you run by your party, you have to raise money, including money from the people who are in court in front of the judges. It gives a lot more control to big money over who gets on the state Supreme Court, which is actually what sets a lot more of the law that affects you on a daily basis than the national Supreme Court does, at least in a lot of states. Hugely important issue, totally off people's radars. And they're trying to take advantage of that, especially on primary ballots like the one in Kansas, because it's easy to message. You just tell people, oh, elections are good. Let's do elections for the Supreme Court too. And people don't realize what that means is, well, now instead of being selected for the merit by people who know what they're talking about and interview every single judge in this very transparent process, it's going to be run for office like you would for anything else, including raising a bunch of campaign dollars. And so we've been looking at different ways of communicating. How do you tell people this is where you don't want elections for the same reason the founders didn't want judges elected? And that's been a real lesson in how to message concerns to people in a very, very competitive environment, because the GOP is spending a ton of money trying to persuade people to vote yes, because they desperately want control over this one last piece of the government that isn't totally partisan. We've learned a lot. I worry that we learned it too late. And we're going to find out tomorrow how we did. And like I said, if we didn't win vote no this time, it's coming everywhere in Kansas, everywhere in the country. But a lot of my conversations during the primary have been about vote no, and talking to people who aren't very political, who are conservative. Hey, here's why you might want a little bit less politics in your life. That's why you don't want an elected Supreme Court.
Yeah, no, I mean, the Supreme Court at the federal level gets a lot of criticism. I know there's a growing number of, especially Democrats, but even some Republicans that say term limits for Supreme Court justices, or mandatory retirement, or at the very freaking least, and I know Mike's all about this, is just like, please, can we at least get a code of ethics for the love of humanity for the Supreme Court? But yeah, let's go to Mike. What's the vibes? Actually, both Mike and Chaney, we'll just have you both feel free to collaborate on this. But yeah, we'll start with Mike.
Yeah, and I mean, I'm sure Chaney will tell you the same. It's data centers and flock cameras. It's the same everywhere, it seems. But here in Tennessee, especially, is healthcare or lack of healthcare. We have a lot of rural hospitals closing around the area, so that's a big concern for people. I have some background in the medical field, and there's something called the golden hour. If you have a traumatic event, you have to get to a trauma-ready hospital within an hour, and that's not a reality for a lot of Tennessee. So, healthcare is a huge concern, and on that, that ties right into affordability, in my opinion. I forget who mentioned it, but I would love to have universal basic healthcare. We had a version of it in the Navy, in the military, and that structure is already set. But yeah, absolutely, I support term limits, and I have to give Chaney credit. I heard him say the enforceable code of ethics on the Supreme Court first, and I definitely stole it because it's an excellent platform, but it's all Chaney's.
Oh, we've been stealing each other's stuff for the last 12 months. I mean, you could, we got 5 candidates in our race, and we're like, that was good. The last time we were all together, we huddled at the end, and I think we were kind of like patting each other on the back for how we're much stronger candidates, all 5 of us, because we've been in a very competitive race. One of the things that I hear frequently is just the desire for congressional reform. And many of these things have already been talked about today: the congressional term limits and the enforceable code of ethics, and ban on stock trading for members of Congress. But 2 others that I would add to that: one is a 5-year moratorium on any member of Congress after leaving their seat, before they can become a lobbyist. I think that's critically important because that's part of the corruption. And in addition to that, working to overturn the Citizens United decision from the Supreme Court.
Chaney, are you a BAC candidate?
Say that again?
Take Back Congress, BAC?
Yes, I'm one of the BAC candidates.
So.
Are you in there also, Colin?
Yes, I am.
I thought you were when I saw your name pop up. I'm like, Colin's back. Yeah. Well, that's how we met with Mr. Beat. Yeah.
Fantastic.
Well, we got to give a shout out to Take Back Congress. Actually, I'm going to pull up the website now and share it. This organization is just phenomenal, and if I encourage you others to check it out as well. If there is any, like, these basically are all candidates around the country that support congressional term limits, overturning Citizens United, a moratorium on lobbying, no stock trading, and a code of judicial ethics. I guess, Chaney, I must have been thinking of you, but I mean, these are very, I think, very supplemental is the word I'm looking for here, in terms of all things that make sense that go along in the same basket as uncapping the House. That's why I feel like a lot of my candidates have had more similarities than differences, because I think it's all the general trend is you all tend to be outsiders to the DC swamp, as I call it affectionately. You all seem to be, just normal people that have worked normal jobs. You weren't like a Nepo baby or, a lawyer. Oh yeah, I'm sorry, no offense, Ann. Sorry, Ann. But she's an immigration lawyer. She helps people, like literally freaking people who don't have any support whatsoever. Like same category as public defenders. I'm just saying, my point is, you're all like, you have tremendous amount of empathy. You're outsiders to the system. And frankly, you're more open to reforms. And so, I know we have about 18 minutes left. I have a couple more questions for you all, but just if there's any reforms that we have not brought up yet that you think that you've been running on, that you think that my audience needs to know about, voters need to know about in your district that you're running, who would like to go first on this one, if one pops to your mind? Okay, Chaney, you got it.
It's actually addressing a reform that's currently in place. I'm a public school educator, right? And so I'm not in favor of dismantling the Department of Education. But under the current Secretary of Education, who refers to artificial intelligence as A1, as if it were a steak sauce, the Department of Ed is being dismantled, and I think it threatens students with with disabilities, and there's a lot of confusion about how students, families, schools, teachers, states will be served under a different department. And I'm a career and technical educator. I work in workforce development. My background is agriculture, so an agriculture teacher. And I have big concerns about career and technical education being shifted from the Department of Ed to the Department of Labor. I can see a partnership there, but I believe it's important that education, not the Department of Ed, not be dismantled. And so that's one of those reforms that is currently happening, and I would work to stop that.
Yeah, that's definitely a little bit more niche, but extremely important. Holy crap. There's just so much crap that needs to be fixed. Anyway, who's next? Raise your hand. Adam, okay. What's another reform we haven't brought up yet?
This is something that I've been kind of ruminating on with this AI stuff. I feel like from a governmental perspective, when it comes to things that are national security issues that deal with AI and other certain emerging tech fields, I think there should be like a congressional committee that like assigns licenses to determine that, hey, this technology has undergone public audit. We know that it passes these tests, that it's cryptographically secure, that the data that it says it's not sharing is not being shared, et cetera, and basically make massive corporations have to come in. Like, let's say, Flock Camera wanted to get approved, they'd have to go through this process. And if any of you have done like any research on the Flock cameras, they have like 42 security vulnerabilities. They're actually really quite bad at what they're supposed to be doing securely. And I think if we had processes in place where you could like set up a licensing for technology, so that way this is approved use for the country, it's doing a national security purpose, and it's doing it the way we expect it to, rather than just kind of right now where we live in a wild west with technology. And I think kind of as we go forward too, Congress is going to have to think of some new ways to interact with the executive, because if we're seeing right now, if you have a rogue executive in Supreme Court, you can kind of just beat up the agencies that are supposed to be independent. And I think we're going to have to rethink some of the ways that Congress interacts with some of them to make sure that we can actually have independent agencies that are run by the legislator, not run by the executive. So that's kind of some thought.
Yeah, return power to the people's house. Return power to the people who actually we vote for. Yeah. It's amazing how the two branches of government that have gained power the most in recent decades are the executive and the judicial. And the legislative is less and less power. And wouldn't you know it, that's the branch of government that's supposed to be most connected to us. Wouldn't you know it? Okay, let's go over to Ann, and then we'll get you after Ann, Colin.
So I love the rules of ethics. I want to see that for all the branches of government. I want more accountability across the board. But one thing that we haven't brought up is, I was just gonna now I forgot what I was gonna say. Will you come back to me in just a second?
Yes, absolutely.
I'm so sorry.
Colin, go ahead.
Now I feel like
I've got your back, Ann. You take your time. I'll just talk forever. You guys got about 45 minutes. I'm just going to go. Going back to the point that was being made just before Ann, I kind of on the way technology is contributing to the encrapification of modern life. Prediction markets have opened up this huge vulnerability for insider trading by members of government. And we've seen people in government profiting hugely off of decisions they're a part of or decisions they're connected to that they can go trade on immediately on prediction markets before the public is aware of what's happened, including military decision making in Iran. And we've seen something similar happen with Trump pre-selling early access to his Truth Social stream, which hedge funds can use to front run the market of the pretty significant stuff. And a few tenths of a second is enough to make a huge amount of money off of these major decisions being announced that they find out about first, because they paid money to the president's own service. There's a lot that Congress has to do to try and control this. The first and the easiest reform is to clarify the rules for insider trading for government employees, make it very clear exactly what levels of employee that applies to. And honestly, I'm a lawyer too, and I'm really a believer that sometimes the best rules are the simplest rules. Just a hard, absolute ban on any government employee who is part of a decision or just generally making more than $100,000 a year, participating in any way in online or publicly available decision markets, because that's the only way to really limit the influence of these insider traders. It's a separate thing to attack something like the Truth Social pre-sale access, that's going to take some more sort of a subtle lawmaking to address because of the kind of weird corruption nobody would have thought of in a million years that have not been so easy under this administration. But that too, Congress has got to step in. And it's all part of the general theme of end that double dealing, insider dealing by insiders in government.
Yeah, more new things I actually haven't thought about in a while. So I appreciate you bringing them to everyone's attention. And did you think it's what you're going to say?
I did. And
Okay.
I love what Colin had to say. And actually, isn't it wild that we're even having these conversations? Like, what happened to integrity in our public offices? But that's not my answer. My answer is actually misinformation. I need someone to address that. The people of the United States of America need Congress to address the free flow of misinformation. And I don't really care how they do it, but the American people need to know what is real and what is not. Just with the example of AI, there has to be regulation to put disclaimers on it. I'm watching, especially the older generation who's not grown up with this technology. Even I sometimes struggle to figure out if it's real or not. But I'm watching some of the older people that I know, just they do not understand that this could possibly not be a real video that they're watching. And so we need really good information on that and disclaimers on that. But I also want to see disclaimers required for people who, like Mr. Beat, gains a big following and has a level of influence and should be held to a bit of a higher standard than just any Tom, Dick, and Harry that's standing on the side of the road saying whatever he wants, right? Like, I don't care. You can still say what you want to say, but you just have to put a disclaimer that I have no idea what I'm talking about if you don't have any idea what you're talking about. So that would be one that I really think I think we all need that addressed.
Yeah, that's interesting. People are always like, "Oh, First Amendment," but there are laws against some types of speech, like false advertising. It just comes to mind when it's related to what you're saying. Yeah. Okay, Mike, did we hear from you on this yet? I don't think we did, right?
No, we haven't. And I love the enforceable code of ethics for the Supreme Court, Congress in general, and the president, similar to the Uniform Code of Military Justice, the UCMJ. When you join the military, you sign up and you can be, they call it conduct unbecoming, right? So that's kind of a catch-all that we should absolutely use. But the reform that I would like to see is ending gerrymandering. I think we should have an independent agency divide the congressional districts based purely on population density. And and again, that goes right with uncapping the House. But Chaney and I, again, are victims of gerrymandering. They had split our state in 2022, and they did it again in 2026. So this is the third time this decade that we've had different representation in Washington, D.C. And lastly, another reform that I'm serious about getting behind, and it's kind of silly, but I want to regulate the glare output of headlights, and I'm assuming everyone has a similar issue. But there's a lot of back roads in Tennessee, so if you turn the wrong road and someone's headlights hit you the wrong way, you are completely blind, and it stays with you for a while. And a lot of these aftermarket LEDs are dangerously bright. So I would like to introduce legislation to either ban the glare or the lumen output, at least have a feasibility study on it.
Dang, I've heard people actually talk about that, but you're the first person running for political office I've heard mention that you're going to legislate something about that. Yeah. Very niche, but okay. We've got somebody new that has joined us. We've got Kevin here, also running for the Senate here in Kansas. So hello, Kevin.
Hey guys, thanks for this. Thanks for this opportunity.
Oh, glad you could be here. Yeah, I'm happy to endorse you as well. And I know you both, it's kind of symbolic because you're late to the live stream, but you're here. But also I was late to find out about you. And so I was like, oh, dang, somebody else is awesome. But yeah, if you just want to briefly tell my audience who you are and why you're running.
Yeah, well, first of all, I'm a big fan of Ann. Let's start with that. And I apologize for being late and for my outfit. I've been canvassing all night. So I'm a pediatric orthopedic surgeon. I've been a surgeon for 30 years at a children's hospital here. My practice is trauma-based with some sports mixed in. And my lane is healthcare. And frankly, I've got kids 17, 19, and 20. that really don't have the same opportunities that I had growing up. And so that's my focus and that's my lane.
Yeah. And just because we haven't heard from you yet, I'll ask you a follow-up question, and then
Sure.
we'll do one more for everybody else. But yeah, we got somebody else here too. We'll just have to go a little bit longer. Can we go a little bit past the hour, end of the hour? This is
Sure.
Okay, because we got Sarah here too. This is great. We got a really full house. Somebody else running here in Kansas that I've endorsed. So yeah, Sarah, I know you just hopped on, but if you can introduce yourself to my audience, say who you are, where you're running, and why you're running.
Yeah. Okay. Jumping right in. I'm Sarah Preu, and I'm running in Kansas's 3rd congressional district. And I am running against a incumbent who's been in there for 8 years, I believe. I voted for her 4 times. And I decided this time that I wanted to make a change. And after looking at the voting record of the incumbent, I saw that my values were not being represented in the way that I expected. So I don't take APAC dollars. I want to defund and abolish ICE in terms of the immigration raids as we see them right now. And I also want to push for Medicare for all and taxing billionaires and corporations at a rate that will allow us to do so. And that's why.
And you want to uncap the house. Oh
Man, how could I forget that one? Yes, I got to uncap that house so that we can get some of this outsized influence off the table. I also saw today Summer Lee talking about her Abolish Super PACs Act, which is pretty exciting as well.
I'm sure everybody. Oh yeah, just like raise your hand if you take PAC money. There we go. Okay. So yeah, another similarity. Oh, wouldn't you know it? Okay. So awesome people all here. Okay. So I might have Sarah and Kevin hang on a little bit longer. So just stick around a little bit. But everyone else, I'll ask you one final question and then you are dismissed from class. Okay. But yeah, so we'll start with Adam. And Adam, I just want you to end by just give your final thoughts about anything you want, promote your website, and maybe share a little prediction about how you think it's going to go at the election this week.
Okay. So if you want to check out our website, it's murphy4va.com. We have murphy4va.com/shop if you want to buy cool merch. I don't have anything near me that I mean, my shirt, but you can't. I got cool merch, but that's not really what I want to talk about. I just thought I'd plug that. Since Sarah mentioned, I thought it would be a good idea to kind of bring it up too. I also don't take corporate PAC money, billionaire funds, foreign interest funds like APAC. Like I think that's really important as we go into Congress in this next wave, is that we have to reject these strings on our representatives. Like that's why everything sucks today, is because they don't represent you and I. They represent the richest of the rich. And I think this is a moment right now where, as the American people, we have a chance to kind of really make some real change. And I think that there's a lot of opportunity to catch people right now. I've been running for over a year. I have hopefully either I'm going to be really accurate with my guess, or I'm going to be just like wildly off. And I feel like from what I'm seeing with all the people I've talked from Southwest Virginia, I'm the only one in my district that's got billboards. I'm the only one that's been to all the counties. I'm the only one that's been all throughout it. I have 200 plus volunteers. I feel really good about the campaign we built for what we're trying to do. It's not about electing me per se. It's about building a movement for Southwest Virginia to get representation finally that doesn't just rubber stamp Donald Trump or an agenda that's, the billionaire's agenda, not one that's good for us. So I'm gonna tentatively say I think I'm gonna win tomorrow night. I think we're gonna get some good news, and where then we got 91 days to go after Morgan Griffith. So it's going to be a sprint right afterwards.
Yeah, it is amazing to hear. I'm glad that you're feeling pretty good about it. I wish you the very best. You have a lot of fans in the comment section, Adam. So
we've been working, man. We've been working. I was at Sheetz today, and I was just buying like a drink. And someone's like, I was wearing my shirt. He's like, "Are you the Adam Murphy?" I'm like, "Yeah, it's me." He's like, "Oh my God, my girlfriend's going to be so jealous. Dude, we love you. Can we take a photo?" And he took a photo with me. I thought that was so cool. Like that's starting to happen a lot more, which to me feels like something's happening for how rural our district is. Like, people are talking, and I think that's a really good thing.
Very cool. Yeah. I wish we had Sheets in Kansas, by the way. I love that place. All right. Ann, why don't you give us your final thoughts? And Adam, where can people find you? What's your website? Sorry.
Can I type it into the chat?
Yeah, type it in the chat. That'd be fine. Yeah.
It's Murphy4va.com. How do I chat in the stream, or can you take it to the stream?
One of your fans, I think, should do it. Let's type it in the chat.
All right, Team Murphy, come on. Yeah. Wow the stream right now. Someone link the website for us, please. I'm very lucky to have such a wonderful team, I'll be honest with you. So
shout out to the team. And Ann, you final thoughts, give your website, and also just maybe vibes of how it's going to go tomorrow.
So final thoughts. I guess what I would say to everybody is, we really built this from the ground up. We are the grassroots campaign. And I adore Kevin Latz, and I think he's a wonderful person as well. And it's been a wild experience. I am thrilled to see that there are so many, what I just like to say, normal people running for office. It's not something that I ever imagined doing. And I know that there's a lot of us right now that are doing that just because we couldn't sit by while we watched our country be torn apart and our kids' futures be at risk. So kudos to all of you doing it. I know it is a lot, and I send my love out to all of you, and I wish you the best of luck in all of your elections. After that, I want to say, if you are thinking about running for office, if you are thinking about getting involved, I did not know how to do this last year, and I have come this far, and we have done, I cannot tell you what kind of a movement we have built here in Kansas, and we have gotten people excited all across Kansas. And so we're really looking forward to taking this momentum and going into whatever comes next. But we will not be stopping, and we will be continuing to fight for what is best for the future of all of our children. You can find us online, www.annforkansas.com, and it's Ann with an E. Make sure you find us on Facebook. If you want to see what I really post, I'm on there. But you can also find my campaign page on there, and we are on TikTok, and we do have a really good social media following. My team has been amazing. It's been all volunteers who have dedicated their lives to this movement over the past year, and some of them as much as I have. So I'm really excited to see what everybody does, and I think we're still in it to win it. We got a lot of grassroots support. We got a lot of regular people who are ready for change and are tired of the status quo and the establishment being involved in our elections. And there's a long story there that I won't go into, but we think people are ready for something new, and we think we offer that. And so we're looking forward to see what happens. But either way, November 3rd, which is my birthday, we're going to take this government back for the people one way or another. So through elections, just.
Well, pitchforks are out. But yes, fellow Scorpio, I'm November 6th myself. Yeah. Yes, heck yeah. I already voted for you. And sorry, Kevin, but I hope to make it up to you by taking you out for a drink or something. Because she got to me first. But anyway, I wish I could vote for more too. Ranked choice voting.
Let's do that.
Voting. Yeah, star voting is my favorite. Okay. Mike, final thoughts and where folks can find you, your vibes for how it's going to go later this week.
Yeah, thanks. I am all for ranked choice voting, so I love that. Just like Adam, I launched my campaign April of 2025, so I've been doing this for over a year. And, this is a grassroots campaign, and I am running on affordability, accountability, and accessibility because there is a definite lack of that in our government. If my congressman had done his job, then I would still be working for the federal government, and you all wouldn't know me, and that would be just fine with me. So I'm not running to get famous or to be in front of people. I'm running because I'm a public servant, and that's what I do best. I've worked at every level of the government, local, state, and federal. And I love serving people. It's what one of my biggest passions, and I truly care about everybody in this district. As far as forecast, I forecast it's going to be a very close race between Chaney and I, but I know that we've put in the work in this campaign, so I feel confident that we're going to pull it out.
All right, well, you might have some pretty good competition, Mike, because you got this guy right below you on the screen right now who is also awesome. Like, man, you two together could literally just like run for president, co-equal, just like Gary Johnson did back in, what was that, 2016? Anyway, Chaney, what final thoughts?
The first time I met Mike was at a candidate forum, and when it was finished, Mike looked at me and he said, "You surprised me. You're pretty good. I still think I'm going to win." And I will always remember that. No, I told Mike from the beginning, I don't want to end this campaign with enemies. I want to end it with friends. And I agree. I think that this is a race between Mike and I, but we'll see. We may both be incorrect. I grew up in rural Middle Tennessee. My father was a Marine who fought in Vietnam. After that, he became a truck driver, and my mom was a waitress. And after my father died when I was in second grade, Mom went on to raise us, but she kept us in that rural town so we could grow up with those rural values. And we understood the value of hard work, personal responsibility, but also helping your neighbors. And when I think about where we are now, in this stage, especially in our congressional district, a lot of that value of helping our neighbors, we don't see as much of that. And I think the majority of our voters in our district are working class people, and they're wanting someone who is a champion for them, who understands what they are going through and what they've gone through. And I often say that I grew up in a very small rural town, a K through 12 public school, and I graduated with 32 people in my senior class. I don't forget that. And now I live in Nashville, and our district has Nashville and the most rural county we have in our state that is part of the Appalachian Regional Commission. And I think that voters are looking for somebody who can really bridge that urban-rural divide, bridge that gap, and bring everyone together, because we are in this together and we are better, stronger. And my website is, I changed my name so you can see it there.
Oh, yeah. Smart. Yeah. ChaneyMosley.com. Simple enough. All right. Some of them have logged off here, but let's go to Colin for, oh man, it's getting dark there in Kansas.
Yeah. I keep forgetting how late it gets dark now, but it was pretty nice most of the night. So I'll log off pretty quick, but I just want to say thank you so much. I also want to give credit to Ann. For a long time now, she was an early candidate in that Senate race. I've heard people all over the state saying she can't possibly win. She doesn't raise enough money. But I've heard way more people than that say, oh my God, I love Ann so much. I'm so happy to vote for her. She has been out there just really proving the value of ground level retail politics, showing up in everybody's front yard, talking to everybody about the stuff that matters. She leaves a speech, leaves a room, and people are more energized about the race, more energized about politics, not just knowing her name, but caring more about the stuff she's talking about. If she doesn't win the primary, then I know she's going to go on to do some fantastic stuff, just getting people energized for the rest of the race. And then God only knows what she can accomplish after that. So very happy she's been in that race. And Kevin, too, just really fantastic people out there energizing people about that Senate race. And my race, I'm feeling pretty good. I've been knocking out a ton of doors this week, and it's been a pretty good experience. I've talked to a lot of people who weren't aware a primary was going on, and a lot more, well, not that many more, some who were changing their vote from my opponent to me because they just weren't hearing anything from the opponent that made a lot of sense to them. And we've done a pretty good job of raising money. We all want money out of politics. That's literally the one unifying thing that ties most of us together, other than the beat endorsement and uncapping the House. But until money is out of politics, you have to have it to campaign with, at least in the kind of race I'm running. And we did a pretty good job. We've outraised every Democrat to run for this office for the past 10 years, which is important in this really red district because we're raising the profile of Democrats and showing, hey, this is a viable party that competes at the same level as those traditional Republican incumbents. Because win or lose the seat is not the most important thing in a race like mine. It's renovate the party and make sure it's a competitive election again. Make sure we're getting out there in a way that changes the district, makes it more competitive. I think we're doing it. And if you want to know more about it, you can find me at colinforcongress.com, all spelled out, COLINFOR. Colinforkansas.com, KANSAS, or kansas.com. Colinforkansas.com. Sorry, it's late. I've been in the hot sun, door knocking all day. Mr. B, thank you so much. I appreciate it. We'll see you after the election. I guess you're not going to the watch party tomorrow, but I'll see you in Lawrence after that. I'll buy you a drink and we'll sit down and talk about how it went one way or the other.
Oh, gosh, yeah. I'm going to be a little nervous tomorrow, but yeah, thank you for joining us tonight. Kevin was having technical issues, and he says that we're going to go out for a drink in the private chat. He said that. So, yeah, no, I just feel like even no matter what happens this week, like a lot of this, I keep telling people that this is the beginning of something. This is the beginning of a long, I think, reform period in American history. Well, yeah, that just leaves Sarah. If you want to give some, since we'll give you a little bit extra time here to give your final thoughts since you joined late. But yeah, where can people find more information about you?
So I'm hoping you can hear me. Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you can find my info at Preu2026.com, Preu, Sarah with an H. And yeah, you can see my platform there, and you can find out about all sorts of different policy papers that I put together over the last 6 months. I started running in the end of February of this year. And it was really once I saw what was going on in Minnesota, and just couldn't continue on knowing that my vote had some part in that. So yeah, that's really where you can find all of that good info. You can find me on Instagram. You can find me on Threads, YouTube, the whole bit. So.
And yeah, I mean, how do you think it's going to go there? Because you've got Sharice Davids, who is the only Democrat and at the federal level and in Congress in Kansas. But what are you hoping? Like, if you don't defeat her, what are you hoping for tomorrow?
I'm hoping for exactly what you were talking about before with Colin, right? I'm really looking for folks to give voice and put words around sort of a new politics that we haven't seen in a long time with ethics, like a really strong ethical framework. And it's really not, it's party agnostic at this point. We both sides of the aisle have these issues with PACs and sort of this sort of controlled opposition of, somehow the Republicans always get just enough votes in the House for these really contentious votes. And it just doesn't feel like we're being told the whole story as voters who send Democrats in to be an opposition to the status quo. So yeah, how do I think it's going to go? I mean, I want to tell you that we are going to shock the nation in this district. And I think we very well could. I mean, I have lived in this district for over 20 years. Just because the Johnson County Democrats don't know me doesn't mean nobody knows me. And I've had a lot of years of experience in organizing, community development, just working and living in this district. So you might be surprised at the Sarah Preu reach. But that said, I also think it has to do with just being a working class person, right? And just like Ann was saying, just seeing yourself in these candidates and seeing your value system on display when we talk, right? And so, yeah, so what do I think? I think that we are going to do better than they might think. I think I'm going to have a heck of a number for how much each vote cost me, right? Per vote cost.
Oh yeah. No
I
doubt.
definitely am going to come in a lot better than the quote they gave me at $1.5 million to win a primary, whatever that ends up being, right? 33,000 votes to win and 1.5 million. You do the math, but I guarantee you I can do better than that one. And then I think in the future we really have this sort of callback to Kansas as this bellwether, right? Nothing, remember the What's the Matter with Kansas book? Nothing is the matter with Kansas. Nothing is the matter with Kansas. We just need our everyday regular folks working in this government, getting a seat at the table. And we have very practical, like unifying issues that really, I think the nation is unified on across the political spectrum. We all are starting to get this sort of class consciousness, I think, that really doesn't know anything about, left versus right, but it knows everything about top versus bottom, right? And so, yeah, I think we got enough network going. I think we got enough money going that I'm hoping up and down the ballot, progressives in this part of the state will no longer have to lick boots in order to run in an election. So
that's a great place to end it there. And hey, Chaney, why don't you say what you said in the chat to
Okay, but this is not a diss. I have many friends from Kansas because I work in agriculture, and that's how I know them. Went to visit and came home with a coffee mug that reads Kansas. It's not that bad.
I've seen those same coffee mugs. All right. Well, thank you all for sticking around to the end here. Just a reminder to check out both Mike and Chaney. Check out Sarah and all the other candidates I've listed on my website for endorsements. All the candidates running for Congress, either the Senate or the House, who have not only added uncapping the House to their platform, but they're just amazing human beings who you probably share values with, and they're outsiders, and they're running against the Epstein class, the elites. They're one of you. Yes, you. You right now. Yes, you. Yeah. Anyway, thank you all. Good luck to you tomorrow.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Have a good evening, y'all. Bye-bye.
Thank you.